Welcome to Necessi-Tea. I'm Lindsay Jackson.
And I'm Marguerite Pierce.
And today is an extremely special day. We have a visitor all the way from Richmond, Virginia, a very good friend of mine. Her name is Denisha Alphonse. This is someone that I have known over 26 years. So since I was a baby, because I'm only 26. Psych. But this is a very dear friend of mine, and she has an amazing story to share with you all. And we're really excited about creating an opportunity for you all to hear her story, but also a platform for her to share her story. So, hi, Denisha.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for joining us. This feels kind of weird because it's like you're my friend, and here we are, right? Coming together to do this. So, Marguerite and I are really excited.
Thank you so much.
We are. So I guess we'll just jump right in. So I think I know through Lindsay that you're an author.
That's right.
Of a children's book series, right? So make sure I have it right. We don't cry, we try.
That's right.
All right. So tell us a little bit about that.
So We Don't Cry, We Try is a series, a book series, motivational kids series that I publish independently online through Amazon. And there's 3 books currently in the series. So we have the first one I started is a Kindle version, electronic, Play Your Horn. We Don't Cry, We Try, Play Your Horn. Inspired by my grandfather. Then we have We Don't Cry, We Try, Back to School, which is my first print book. And then we have We Don't Cry, We Try, Out to Eat, which is my new book that just came out this summer.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there's 3. So everybody, I hope you wrote down all those titles and you go check those out.
That's right.
So I guess, like, why children's books?
I feel so inspired by little kids. They are little people that we expect so much from. And I know that as a child myself, that it was very hard for me to get me to do anything. So I think that, to start off with a children's book just helps encourage children from a young age, which can help you grow into an adult that has, a good affirmation. So children's books, I have kids now. I wasn't sure how to navigate parenting in a positive way when I'm frustrated. So We Don't Cry, We Try. It rhymes. It's catchy. It's something that I think just helps me get their attention instead of saying, hey, cut that crying all the time.
That doesn't work?
Right? Because it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for them.
Right.
So We Don't Cry, We Try. It's just like, hey, we are in this together. What is your problem? We can come together and we can work this out.
Yeah. See? So this is like the theme of
Life.
Life in general. And then like with the episode that we did a few weeks back, the conscious parent, right? So parenting as a partnership. Like, so you just described that perfectly.
That's
it's like a line right out of that book. I guess what has been a breakthrough for you having written these books, like from a parent, like from your parental perspective?
As a parent, I realized that it really does give me the kind of the satisfaction of not yelling at them. It makes me feel good that, that's something that, I put forth. I am trying to be conscious, like you said, to speak to my kids in a positive manner. So, and then I know that, like I said, like they're little people and they want to try to grow up and you're trying to raise them. And for me, I know that it's difficult for me to try. It's difficult for me to want to do anything that is not watching TV. So, it's been something that is twofold. So like I want to, encourage myself and I want to encourage my kids as well to try and stay positive, try and reach your goals, try and do better than whatever it is that maybe you're doing right now that could be frustrating to both of us.
Right, right. And what do you think or what has been the response from your children or other children that have read the book in general?
I think that it does work. Consistency is always key, but they know that that's something that I say. So even when they're not really feeling it, it's, yeah, we don't cry, we try, okay. Because it's what I say, and I can tell when they're not feeling it, but it's that. What you say? I recognize that. So it does. It's a conversation starter. It helps to navigate whatever, move forward in whatever else we're trying to do, and I think that that's very helpful.
Have they ever used it on you? Like when you're getting frustrated,
right?
And
it's like, Mommy,
remember, we don't cry, we try. I wish Savannah would. I can't even have Savannah reading these books.
Right. They try to bring it back, but it's not like definitely on me. Like, say if I drop something and I'm mad, or if I feel like I can't, they don't say, "Oh, Mommy, we don't cry, we try," which would be totally cool. And I'm waiting for that, and that's going to happen. And that's what this is all about. Like really bringing it together and hitting it home. Like, hit me with it. Come on, remind me that
you just be ready for it though when it happens. Not only Mommy can say that.
Yeah, that's right. So
because we do that, right?
Right, exactly. Like one set of rules for us and another set of rules for them.
Right. And that's why the we is no. We both have to try. We both have to be willing when we don't feel like it, so that we can reach our goals. And as parents, as adults, we really have to be able to take that in and realize that every day we are trying, every single day, to make it to, better ourselves.
True.
Yeah, no, they're just cracking up over that. I guess I had a thought and then it left me, so I'm sorry.
Okay. Those thoughts come back.
They do.
So when you think about We Don't Cry and We Try, and you wrote this book series, how does We Don't Cry, We Try kind of show up in your personal life outside of parenting?
In my personal life, and I don't even realize it, but there's times when I don't know what to do. And sometimes I need to realize that, every day is a new day to try. It's a new day to try, and it's a new. It's a feeling that since I think about it so much. We don't cry, we try. We don't cry, we try. I think about all the times when I did try to give up, and I didn't, or if I did try to give up and finally I found my way through. And it's just through the willingness to try, having kids having boys now that they get to see me in a different light than I was once before, which really is helpful to me, because they don't know how I used to feel, before I started We Don't Cry, We Try, or before they even came about. There's times when I wasn't sure what would happen after a certain point in my life. And then I realized that I look back, and it's all because of the willingness to try. And then when you try, you lead to new things that can really help you reach your goals.
So it really applies to you because, one, you're able to be reflective and kind of look at where you've been and where you are now, but it also keeps you motivated to stay on track with your goals, whatever they are.
Yes, and I have the goals now that I have are to instill willingness into my kids. My two boys that I have now, I really feel are a blessing, because I did have my son that passed away about 12 years ago now, when he was 5.5 months, and I feel empowered now that you can have such a loss, and that you can actually move on. But when you have that loss in the beginning, you don't see the light.
So are you saying that you didn't see the light?
I didn't see the light at all. And then it's helpful now, of course, but back then, like, when you don't really see any way to move past something that has devastated you, you don't even realize that you went to bed, you woke up the next day.
Wow.
And that is part of the trying. That is part of the movement. That is part of the process. That is part of you growing. Because I didn't just stay in my bed. You know, every day I actually got up out the bed and talked to people as if nothing had happened.
Right.
That's crazy to me. Like, now that I think about it, like, how did I do that? How did I leave that hospital?
Right.
Right.
They didn't have to pull me out either.
Right.
Like, somebody should have been pulling me out of there, and I was ready to fight somebody, but I feel like that I didn't fight anybody. It's amazing. It's amazing what, God can do, and at the moment you really just don't realize it.
Right. Right. Of, being able to, like, your world is crumbling literally, and you're still able to show up because the world is still spinning.
Exactly.
Right? And you said a phrase like you were able to move on, you know, after your son's death, but is it really moving on, or is it more like getting through it?
I think that it might be both. And at the same time, like, now that the boys are here, my two boys are, you know, here, and they learned about Mijay. His name was that we called him Mijay. He was Demetrius Jr. That you kind of have to move on. You have to be willing to accept that you have a different life than what you thought you were going to have. And and once these little people are talking and asking questions, and you try, and I try to pretty dial it up as much as I can for two little kids who wouldn't understand death and a death of a baby as a mother. So that part is difficult. So if I hadn't moved on, when I speak to them, I would feel anger. They would see that I have a problem still, you know? So pushing through was very important, and it wasn't easy. It took a lot of time. I cut myself off from God after that, because I was just trying to push through, and I wasn't trying to move forward. And it's not moving forward is not letting go. You know, he's still with me. I have this chain that I wear around my neck. I do not take it off ever. And when I do, I feel naked. So he's still here, you know, and I have to try and remember that he is in my heart, and every day that, you know, he gave me something. It wasn't a gift, because that no one can ever tell me, oh, that was a, you know, that was something that, you know, was a gift to you so that you can move on and have these two boys and do We Don't Cry, We Try. I don't see it like that, but he did. That had to have happened for me to realize what I have now.
So what helped you get back into your faith? Because you felt like, hey, God did you dirty. He was
like, who? God who?
Right. So how did you recover from that piece of the relationship? Because I think a lot of us can rely on our faith to get us through a lot of things, right? Yeah. Whether it be something good, something bad, something we planned, or something that was completely out of the blue. But that faith string is pulled really hard when whatever that thing that happened affects us so deeply. So how did you, make nice with God again? How did you?
Yeah. I can't remember like when I finally said I will give God another chance, because I told God to kick rocks. And so why are you coming back? But my family, we all go to the same church.
Okay.
And they all still, of course, were going. And I think I decided to go because they asked me to be a godmother to my cousin's son. So I went to church for the christening. And being there again and seeing everybody, so nothing changed for them. God was still there. God was the same God. He didn't change. I changed. So I think that if they didn't all go to the same church, I wouldn't have found my way back. You know, like my Nana going to the church and, you know, I want to see them. I wasn't really there for God at the time, probably, but God knew that I needed to be there. And however you get somewhere, sometimes it's not about how you got there. It's about what you're going to do once you get there. And I was able to receive him again, somehow or another, through the grace of God, I guess. Right. And I didn't give up. I kept trying, and I kept going back. And even though it wasn't all good, it was necessary. And I realized that, you know, he was a faithful God. I was able to keep trying because of that, because otherwise I would have probably kept trying if I didn't go back to church and stuff like that. But what would I have been trying exactly? Right. To push God away. Right. That's what I would have been kept trying to do, and that's not where I came from. Right. You know, and that's not what I was familiar with. I wasn't familiar with being so angry every day. I wasn't familiar with hating everybody and blaming other people and being like that. That was not getting me anywhere. Once I started going back to church and I started being around my family again, I started to get the job. I got my jobs, you know, that I was able to move forward and start to make money again. So things started to fall into place that I was able to willing and accept that, you know, trying was very, was worth it.
Right. Right. And I'm just curious, like with you being able to reconcile like your relationship with God, like what impact, you know, does something like this have on your relationship with like your husband? And you hear people's stories all the time about how people have, you know, unique experiences or unique ways to grieve or to get over loss. So, you know, you both have experienced the loss and you're both individuals, but you're also a couple. So how did you guys surmount that?
Yeah, I'm realizing that you can, you know, live with somebody, experience the same exact thing, and you will take from it totally different experiences, and you'll feel totally different about it. So what happened was we both let God go, but he did not accept God again. And I really believe that one of my purposes is, while this has been 12 years, and I feel like this is also very appropriate because Mijay's birthday is October 20th. And for me to be able to talk about him now is very helpful. So, anyway, about Demetrius. So Demetrius, he is a special person that I feel he is my match. And I need to make sure that he eventually comes back to God. Okay. So right now it's a journey. And we just have to keep trying. Like, imagine if I had given up. I can't even imagine. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, it very well could have happened, but that's why We Don't Cry, We Try is just so important, because if you can be crying, but it's what you do after and during when you're crying that matters. We don't let our fears and our emotions hold us back. We can't, because everybody else is still doing what they're doing. Everybody was still at church. Right. Living their lives. While I'm over here angry. God is still blessing them. And I didn't realize he was still blessing me too. But, you know, that's just one thing that when you're with somebody that experiences something like that, it's amazing how, like, some people, they kill themselves. Right. You know, because they didn't want to try anymore. It was too much.
Right. The pain was too unbearable.
Exactly.
Right.
And I feel like when people pray for you, you say, I'm praying for you, I'm praying for you, I'm praying for you. Those things have to work. Because I wasn't praying for nothing. I wasn't praying for myself, wasn't praying for Demetrius, wasn't praying for anybody. So it's very important to have somebody in your life where that you can try and grow with. And one person may be growing faster than the other, but you can't leave people behind. That's my husband. You know, he lost a baby. Even though we have two healthy babies now, 2 growing boys, you know, that pain, it doesn't really go away.
Right.
And sometimes when you lash out or you do something, you don't realize that you still are probably hurting and you're grieving. So that's just something that we work out together, and we talk about it often, and we, you know, make sure that we check in with each other and things like that. And maybe we light the candle on his birthday, on the anniversary of his death. But yeah, having that loss really can take a toll on a couple.
Yeah, thank you for being so open with this, because I personally can't imagine going through something like that. And, you know, having had that experience, how did you have the courage to have another baby?
That was amazing. Like, how can I be so bold? Like, what is going to happen? You know, is he going to be okay? Is there anything I can do to make sure that this comes out right? So the first thing I did was I told myself that everything that I may have felt I might have done wrong the last time, that's not gonna happen again. So while I was eating bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches, and then I'm saying that's why the baby passed, but I wasn't doing that this time.
I ain't gonna eat that bacon.
Right, you're drawing all kinds of correlations.
I want to try.
You made some real sacrifices, because I love bacon, and I'm like, baby, new baby, bacon. Bacon might win.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like I had to say goodbye to the bacon. Yeah. That's crazy. In New York, so I was still living in New York, and the deli was right there.
Right there, right. It's always in your face. It's in your face.
That's easy. You call Poppy like, yo, Poppy, let me get that bacon, egg, and cheese, please.
It was right there, exactly. So no more of that. And I was back in church, I believe by that time, just like praying and just hoping. And then as, making sure I go to all my doctor's appointments, and Demetrius is, changing his habits a lot for me, just making sure that we don't do the same thing. So I think that helped. Having Demetrius there, encouraging me to make sure, and everybody checking in, Lindsay, everyone making sure that I was good, and I really could not have done it with everybody being by my side.
Yeah.
Something that you said, Denisha, in just like a conversation you and I were having, was that, when you pray for something, gotta be careful, right? Because you'll get it.
Exactly.
And just share a little bit about what that was like for you. You were dealing with the loss, but then kind of like watching other people with their kids and kind of wanting something new for yourself, right?
Right. That was very sad. Like when I was working, and the first job that I got after losing Mijay, my friend from high school, she worked there at the job too, and she was pregnant and she was having her baby. And then Mother's Day came, and things that, I should have my son with, a party, other kids' birthdays, parties coming, I should have had my baby to bring. It was hard to watch. It was devastating. The first Mother's Day was horrible. And I just sat on my couch, and I literally asked, so what am I supposed to do today? What is today for me? And it was whatever I could have made it. And I realized that then, that I could have tried to celebrate him, or I could have celebrated me. I could have done anything other than sulk, because that didn't get me anywhere. And if you feel like you need to stay in your emotions, then celebrate it in a way that is less painful. So, and then praying for something, like I prayed to have a healthy baby. I wanted that for me. Right. She has it, so why can't I have it? Right. So just, and then you pray and you got to be ready though.
Right, right, to receive.
Yes,
right,
exactly.
I'm ready for that money, God.
So when Adonis was born, guess what? I'm breastfeeding as soon as he comes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm ready, God. Like, let me show you. I prayed for this. This is how I'm going to do better this time. And then we don't cry, we try. I'm not going to yell at these babies like that. It just, everything started to come into place with what I wanted to change as a mother. If at first, when I first had Mijay, I was only 25. And not to say that that is that young, but at that time, I don't know if I would have developed into the woman that I am today. I really don't. I'm not sure.
But are you placing blame on yourself in some way for Mijay's passing? Because you're saying with Adonis, like you switched up your habits and you're doing all these things to change the outcome. So, like, that sounds to me like you're blaming yourself.
No, I feel like not trying something different would lead me to more regret. So I just wanted to make sure that there were no regrets this time.
Okay.
So I don't blame myself, but I don't think that I was ready for the pregnancy as much as I thought I was at the time.
Okay.
And I don't know, if I was the healthiest, or if I treated myself right, if I was in the right space, you know what I'm saying? Whatever things can inhibit a healthy pregnancy. So that's the only thing that I don't blame myself. At first I did. Mm-hmm. Now I know that there isn't anything that I could do. I tried to be good to him, while we were in the hospital. I tried to never leave his side and, things like that. But you just never know. Like, I just don't know.
Right. So coming to, like, really acceptance after it all.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And it's interesting because you were challenged to be able to accept something so major, right, and so impactful. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm hearing this and just getting so many lessons even for myself. Because if I can't get a parking space or, find that shirt that I wanted, right, or get the dishes washed or get the kid in bed in time, though that's a part of resistance, right, and not being accepting. Mm-hmm. And you were able to tap into whatever you had inside of you, whether that is strength, that's faith, that's courage, bravery. You were able to tap into those things to just be able to go forward with it and accept. You know?
Acceptance is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And you don't know when it's going to happen. I don't even know if I accepted it, that he's passed. It's still not fair, but mm-hmm. that's where every day trying to make myself understand that, I can't play God. I don't make the rules. Mm-hmm. And you just have to be able to live and live without regret. That's what the trying is still so much about. Like, if I just would have more regret not trying to have another baby and see what it would be like and get that opportunity. This is a great opportunity for me because I had a great loss.
Right.
And through great losses can come
gains.
Great gains, great opportunities. So this is a life that I asked for. So anytime I get frustrated with my kids, we don't cry, we try. Denisha, you asked for this.
Right.
What you doing? Getting pissed. I'm human. You know what I'm saying? So you need something to bring you back to, a grounded or a leveled playing field when it comes to kids. Because being snappy with them, that comes natural almost. Instead of the wanting to figure out, especially when you're in a rush or whatever the problem is,
Yeah. How wild is that? Is that like that's the default almost? It's just like to be frustrated instead of being caring and having patience and tolerance. And we have to remind ourselves of those things, but the snappy, the frustration, the yelling, that we don't even have to think about it. It's just, it comes out and you're like, oh, where did that come from?
Right. And it makes me really see the importance, one, of my own emotional management, but teaching my kid at this age how to manage her emotions so that her default doesn't become snappy and frustrated, but it becomes accepting, right? And says, okay.
Being willing and trying.
Or curious.
Right.
Right.
Curious, if I can't have this, what's...
Okay.
Right.
Like, this is, okay, I'm upset.
Exactly.
Why am I upset?
Right.
Why am I upset that, mommy said this, or my best friend said that, or my best friend didn't call me back? Like, why am I upset? Like, and just being in the moment, like the mindfulness, right? Which...
And I think
everybody talks about
right. And nowadays, kids have an advantage because in some school systems they put in that mindfulness and that self-awareness where we didn't grow up with that.
No,
I
never learned anything about that until I was an adult, or like in some
yesterday.
programs have like meditation or
right. There's some schools that they don't send kids to detention. Instead, they send them to meditation. Right, and it just teaches that skill.
But how this is like positive reinforcement. Right? And that's being able to rehabilitate, poor behaviors or
it's
poor,
restorative.
Right, exactly. Instead of like, sit there in detention and think about what you've done.
Right.
Well, no, I'm not going to think about what I've done. I'm just going to sit here and doodle in this notebook.
Right. Or work myself up some more.
Right.
That mindfulness and meditation helps allow you to manage that.
Right.
So I think of that would there be like a We Don't Cry, We Try for like adults? Like parents?
Yeah, can we get
like a parenting
We need a
book?
guide, a brochure.
Every day is We Don't Cry, We Try for adults, so because like you have a bad day, you're ready to take it out on everybody. But you have to go to bed, wake up, it's a new day, and try to leave your baggage behind. And it's not easy, though.
Yeah, no, it's not easy.
Being able to restart, like see every day as a restart and
a
like
new opportunity.
do-over, a new opportunity.
Instead of a punishment, like, oh my God, it's Monday.
And this problem still exists.
Mad, right? You sit here in your funk for a long time.
Right, and wallow
Nothing is going to happen with that. Like, be mad, and you're going to sit there. Go ahead, be mad. The rest of the world is moving on without you.
Right. Wow. And it makes me think of what you said, like you're home and you're suffering and you're not, having that close relationship with God that you once had before. But everybody else is still at church.
Right.
They're still praying. They're
singing,
still connecting. They're still
smiling,
relying on God.
Right.
Hallelujah. Right. Medea's in the background. And that those things are still going on, right? While we're sitting in that.
Life will pass you by. Just like if you're sitting in detention and you're just mad that you're in detention, then if you don't want to grow from it, you're going to be in detention tomorrow.
Right.
And
And so like, so you're, when you were talking about, you didn't want to have any regrets, which is why you were doing something different, right? To be able to say, okay, well, I'm not going to repeat. Right, like so. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, right? So, like now that's clear to me. Like that, the way you explain that is like, okay, well, I'm going to make sure I do whatever it takes to, make sure like Adonis is born healthy and this is a successful pregnancy. So
and that's a healthy baby.
You have to.
Was he a big baby?
Yes.
What?
Oh, so a huge baby.
He was born like a quarterback. Like
so solid.
He's solid from a baby. He was solid. Denisha be lugging him around, breasts in his mouth, and he like, "Mommy, give me that today." Like big ass baby.
Amazing.
Wow.
He's still big.
Wow.
He's still big, solid baby.
Right.
Like really, God held you down. You asked for that. I'm like, yo, what hormones are you injecting into this baby? Because he's massive.
He's huge.
And not like, overweight.
Right.
But
he's
like solid, big kid.
Tall because I'm 5'1" and he's like 4'11". And
your husband is
5'8".
So they're like a little family.
Oh, wow.
Adonis is like the parent.
He's he's going to be the giant.
He's
go get some breakfast. We eating bacon now.
We ain't eating no bacon.
No.
We still don't eat bacon.
No, they still don't eat bacon.
That's funny.
Oh, man. If you have like one piece of advice for someone who might have experienced what you experienced or is going through it now, what would you say that is?
I would just say don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Because you never know what you can do until you try. Mm-hmm. And whether that be you want to move on, and just find yourself without having a baby again and things like that. And it takes a lot to be a parent. So if you lost your child and maybe you realize that maybe you could have, got a little further in your career, or you could take that time. Take that time to think about what you really, truly want, because that's your chance. And if you do want to have another baby, just make sure that you are thorough in all of your medical testing. You're going to maybe a genealogist. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's it.
It's amazing what you forget too, because during that time, like, there's a lot that I don't remember, and it's probably a good thing, because what would bringing all that up, and it's not to say that I didn't let it go, but it can you could really right. So so the advice I would just say is just do those two things, whichever way you decide, and that it's your choice.
Right.
Do not let anybody else say you should have another baby. Why?
Right.
Or you shouldn't have no more kids. Why? Either way, it's your choice.
And what do you think you've learned the most about yourself, having come out, like, from just despair to where you are now with acceptance and happiness and, restoring your faith? What was the number one lesson?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And even if you're not religious, you have to find what strengthens you. So that is what I've learned.
That was...
Denisha, girl.
So our listeners are going to be so captivated by your story, and they're going to want to know how to find you and how to get connected with you. So what's your social media handle? How do people get in touch with you, whether it's they want to buy a book or they want to have you come on their show and do an interview? Awesome. But how do they get in touch with you? Is it 917? No. 499. That's our old number.
New York number. Please follow me on Instagram at Team We Don't Cry, We Try. And on Facebook, We Don't Cry, We Try. And I have my author link on Amazon.
Okay.
And you can buy all 3 of the books Where Dawn Learns, We Don't Cry, We Try on Amazon.com.
Awesome.
I'm just like sitting with like everything that you've said during this conversation, and have you given thought, or maybe you've done this already, of, doing like speaking engagements or hosting group support groups, and things like that, because I think just your energy when you talk about this is surreal, having experienced what you've experienced. So, have you considered anything like that?
I have not considered, not that I would never either. This is a great idea. I would love to do something like that. And I think that Lindsay has really enlightened me as to what speaking about losing Mijay could really mean, and what it has done for me today. I really appreciate it. So I'm open to that, but I had not thought about it at first.
Think about it.
Thank you so
Seed
much.
has been planted.
Yes.
Post some water on it.
Yeah, because I think your story is really inspirational, and
thank you.
And I am humbled that you came on here and shared it with us.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now it's tea time.
And the T stands for try, because we don't cry, we try. We're going to try to buy that book.
The E is for empower. During your weakest moments, find your source of strength, wherever it may reside.
And the A is for accept. Things won't go how we expect them to all the time. The first step to being transformed by your pain is acceptance. Denisha, thank you so much for joining us today and just sharing your soul with us. I think we were both inspired, and we hope our listeners were as well. And just to recap for folks, if you want to connect with Denisha, you can hit her up on IG at Team We Don't Cry, We Try, and on Facebook, We Don't Cry, We Try. And if you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, I don't know what you're waiting for. This is episode 10.
Do it.
So please subscribe and follow us on Instagram at NECESSI_TEA_podcast. Thanks for listening.